Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to your favorite podcast. I'm your host, Emma.
And I'm Mike. Today, we have an exciting topic lined up for you.
That's right. A lot of people have been asking for this specifically, and today we are going to dive into it.
So what's on the agenda for today?
Today, we'll be discussing how to apply for a study visa, a crucial part of studying abroad.
Yes, and specifically, we'll break down the whole process from the application to the visa interviews, which is often required by many countries.
Exactly. Securing a study visa requires you to go through an interview where you'll answer a series of questions about your plans and background.
And that's exactly what we'll be focusing on today. But before we dive into the dialogue, let's go over some key phrases to help you understand everything better.
Key phrases.
Let's begin by explaining what a visa is. A visa is an official document placed in your passport that grants you permission to enter, stay, and sometimes work or study in a specific country for a certain period.
That's right. Think of it as a pass that allows you to legally travel and stay in another country, but only under specific conditions.
There are different types of visas, such as tourist visas, work visas, and for today's focus, study visas.
A study visa gives you the legal right to study in a foreign country. Depending on the country, these visas may have their own names and requirements.
For example, the F1 visa is used by students studying in the United States, while the Tier 4 student visa is required for students heading to the UK.
Similarly, if you're planning to study in Canada, you'll need a Canada study permit. Each country has different rules regarding study visas, so it's important to know the details.
Now, what about resident visas? Emma, can you explain what a resident visa is?
Absolutely. A resident visa allows you to live in a country for an extended period, sometimes even indefinitely. Some students might transition from a study visa to a resident visa if they plan to stay and work after graduation. Right! This is common in countries that offer post-study work visas or paths to permanent residency for international students. But it's important to know that a resident visa usually has stricter requirements than a study visa. It might involve providing long-term employment or strong ties to the country.
Now, let's look at the phrase sponsor. Emma, what does it mean to be a sponsor?
A sponsor can be someone, often a parent, guardian, or scholarship provider, who takes financial responsibility for the student during their time abroad. This person ensures the student's expenses are covered.
Exactly. In some cases, universities or scholarships take on this role by covering tuition and living costs.
Another key phrase is the acceptance letter. This letter confirms that a student has been admitted into a program, and it's often a required document when applying for a study visa.
That's right. Without this letter, your visa application might not even be processed.
Then we have proof of funds. This is the financial evidence showing the student can support themselves during their studies abroad.
Yes, and this could include things like bank statements or scholarship letters. Some countries even have specific minimum amounts you must show in your account.
Finally, we have home ties. These are connections that demonstrate the student intends to return home after their studies.
Examples include family members, property, or even a job waiting for them back home.
Now that we've covered the key phrases, let's move into the dialogue and see how these concepts apply in real-life situations. Let's jump into the dialogue. Mike, what's coming up?
It's a conversation between a visa officer and a student applying for a study visa.
Perfect. Let's listen to the dialogue, and afterward, we'll break it down and go over the key phrases.
Good morning. Please have a seat. You're applying for a Tier 4 student visa. Can you tell me the purpose of your trip to the UK?
Good morning. Yes, I've been accepted into a master's program in data science at the University of Manchester.
That sounds exciting. Why did you choose the University of Manchester?
I chose it because of its strong focus on practical applications in artificial intelligence, which aligns with my career goals. The University of Manchester also has a great reputation for innovation, and I wanted to study in a diverse, vibrant city.
Congratulations. How long do you plan to stay in the UK?
The course is for 1 year, but I will leave as soon as my studies are complete.
Who will be sponsoring your studies?
My parents are covering my tuition and living expenses. I also have a scholarship from the university.
Do you have proof of these funds?
Yes. Here are my parents' bank statements and the scholarship award letter from the university.
Great. Where will you be staying while in the UK?
I've arranged accommodation in the university dormitories.
What ties do you have to your home country?
I own property here, and I have a job offer to return as a data analyst after my studies for a local tech firm that's helping expand the industry in my city.
Great. What will you do if your studies don't go as planned?
If I face any challenges, I will take advantage of the university's support services. I've also set aside some savings to cover unexpected situations.
That's good to hear. One last question. Are you aware of the work restrictions under your student visa?
Yes, I understand I can only work part-time during term and full-time during holidays.
Excellent. Thank you. We'll review your documents, and you should receive an update within 2 weeks.
Thank you very much.
Wow, that interview was impressive. What do you think, Mike?
The student nailed it, calm, clear, and totally prepared. Having those documents ready makes all the difference. And
Absolutely. And mentioning ties to home, like property and a job offer, was a smart move.
yeah, and knowing the work restrictions, that really shows responsibility. Officers love that.
Plus, connecting the program to career goals, that's exactly what officers look for. It's all about showing you've got a plan.
Agreed. The student was confident but professional, a winning combo.
So, listeners, stay calm, be prepared, and know your story. That's how you ace the interview.
Now let's dive into the essential phrases and explore some key phrases from the conversation. Now let's explore some key phrases. First up, we've got sponsoring.
Sponsoring.
So Emma, what does sponsoring mean?
Sponsoring means you take care of somebody and make sure they are financially stable. A sponsor is someone like a parent or guardian who takes financial responsibility for you during your studies abroad.
For example, you might say, my parents are sponsoring my education and living expenses.
Exactly, they paid for your education and living expenses.
Here are some ways you can use sponsoring.
Example 1. The university is sponsoring me through a full scholarship. Example 2. My employer is sponsoring my studies with a loan repayment plan.
Our next word is invitation letter.
Invitation letter.
This is an important part of a visa application.
Yes.
Invitation letter. Emma, what is an invitation letter?
Invitation letter. This is a formal letter, often from a school or institution, confirming your admission or inviting you to attend a program. It's essential for many visa applications.
It means you are invited to the UK for a specific purpose.
Yes? And you've to give this letter to the visa officer.
Next, we have ties.
Ties.
Ties. All right, what are ties?
Ties refer to your personal connections that show you have reasons to return home after your studies.
What are some examples of ties?
Things like property, money, a child, or even a job, maybe.
Something like a rope attached to you so that you don't run away.
Exactly.
Here are some ways you can use ties.
Example 1. I have family ties as my parents and siblings live in my home country. Example 2. I own property back home, which strengthens my ties to my country. Example 3. I have a job offer waiting for me, which shows I have professional ties.
Let's look at our next word, financial stability.
Financial stability.
Financial stability. So Emma, what does it mean to be financially stable?
Financial stability. This means having enough resources to cover your expenses without relying on emergency help. The visa officers always want to be sure you won't face financial difficulties.
And for our next word, we have savings.
Savings.
Savings. What does it mean to have savings?
Savings. Savings are funds you've set aside which show you can handle unexpected costs during your studies.
Here are some of the examples where savings are used.
Example 1. I've saved $10,000 to cover any extra expenses. Example 2. My savings will ensure I don't need to work full-time during my studies. Example 3. I've combined my savings with a scholarship to fund my education.
For our final word, we've work restrictions.
Work restrictions.
So Emma, why are work restrictions important when applying for a study visa?
Work restrictions. Most study visas allow students to work part-time during the school term and full-time during breaks, but you need to stay within those limits.
We are going to listen to our dialogue again.
This will help you understand it further.
Good morning. Please have a seat. You're applying for a Tier 4 student visa. Can you tell me the purpose of your trip to the UK?
Good morning. Yes, I've been accepted into a master's program in data science at the University of Manchester.
That sounds exciting. Why did you choose the University of Manchester?
I chose it because of its strong focus on practical applications in artificial intelligence, which aligns with my career goals. The University of Manchester also has a great reputation for innovation, and I wanted to study in a diverse, vibrant city.
Congratulations. How long do you plan to stay in the UK?
The course is for 1 year, but I will leave as soon as my studies are complete.
Who will be sponsoring your studies?
My parents are covering my tuition and living expenses. I also have a scholarship from the university.
Do you have proof of these funds?
Yes, here are my parents' bank statements and the scholarship award letter from the university.
Great. Where will you be staying while in the UK?
I've arranged accommodation in the university dormitories.
What ties do you have to your home country?
I own property here, and I have a job offer to return as a data analyst after my studies for a local tech firm that's helping expand the industry in my city.
Great. What will you do if your studies don't go as planned?
If I face any challenges, I will take advantage of the university's support services. I've also set aside some savings to cover unexpected situations.
That's good to hear. One last question. Are you aware of the work restrictions under your student visa?
Yes, I understand I can only work part-time during term and full-time during holidays.
Excellent. Thank you. We'll review your documents, and you should receive an update within 2 weeks.
Thank you very much.
Now, let's talk about some of the most common questions you might encounter during a study visa interview and how you can answer them effectively. So let's look at our first question.
What is the purpose of your trip to the UK, and what is your final destination? What is the purpose of your trip to the UK, and what is your final destination?
So Mike, how should we answer this question?
Well, it depends on what you are going to do. For example, in our dialogue, you could say, I've been accepted into the master's program in data science at the University of Manchester. It is important to be specific. If you can name your final destination, the purpose of your visit, the better.
Let's listen to the next question.
How long do you plan to stay?
In your visa application, it is important to state how long you'll be staying. It is a straightforward answer. For example, I'll be in the UK for 1 academic year, which is the length of my course. Here is our final question.
What ties do you have to your home country? What ties do you have to your home country?
So Mike, why is this question important exactly?
So the visa officer wants to make sure that you won't be an illegal migrant and homeless to the UK.
How do you make him believe you?
Basically, by stating your ties. For instance, I own property, my family is back at home, and I have a job offer lined up after my studies.
Things that make you want to go back to your home country.
Exactly. Things like marriage certificates basically bring everything to be on the safer side.
So let's listen to our dialogue and hear how to answer these questions.
Good morning. Please have a seat. You're applying for a Tier 4 student visa. Can you tell me the purpose of your trip to the UK?
Good morning. Yes, I've been accepted into a master's program in data science at the University of Manchester.
That sounds exciting. Why did you choose the University of Manchester?
I chose it because of its strong focus on practical applications in artificial intelligence, which aligns with my career goals. The University of Manchester also has a great reputation for innovation, and I wanted to study in a diverse, vibrant city.
Congratulations. How long do you plan to stay in the UK?
The course is for 1 year, but I will leave as soon as my studies are complete.
Who will be sponsoring your studies?
My parents are covering my tuition and living expenses. I also have a scholarship from the university.
Do you have proof of these funds?
Yes, here are my parents' bank statements and the scholarship award letter from the university.
Great. Where will you be staying while in the UK?
I've arranged accommodation in the university dormitories.
What ties do you have to your home country?
I own property here, and I have a job offer to return as a data analyst after my studies for a local tech firm that's helping expand the industry in my city.
Great. What will you do if your studies don't go as planned?
If I face any challenges, I will take advantage of the university's support services. I've also set aside some savings to cover unexpected situations.
That's good to hear. One last question. Are you aware of the work restrictions under your student visa?
Yes, I understand I can only work part-time during term and full-time during holidays.
Excellent. Thank you. We'll review your documents, and you should receive an update within 2 weeks.
Thank you very much.
Well, that wraps up today's episode on applying for a study visa. We hope you found the tips, phrases, and dialogue useful for your own application process.
Absolutely. Remember, preparation is key. Have your documents ready, practice answering common questions, and stay calm during the interview.
We'd love to hear from you. Have you gone through a visa interview, got questions or tips of your own? Drop a comment or send us a message.
That's right. Your experiences could help others in the same boat. And hey, if you found this episode helpful, please share it with a friend who might need it.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We're rooting for you on your study abroad journey.
Let's hope this was helpful to all of you, our viewers, because at a specific point in time, you'll need to apply for a study visa. You've whatever it takes to answer all these questions when applying for a visa. Well, if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up.
Let us know your thoughts and views, what you want us to talk about in the next episodes. And most importantly, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell icon for more upcoming episodes.
Well, everyone, thanks for listening. Till next, bye-bye.
Audio review. We will say the words, describe them, and apply them in sentences. Visa. A visa is required when you need legal permission to enter a country for a specific purpose, such as tourism, work, or study. For example, a visa is required to enter most countries legally for work, travel, or study. He received a student visa to pursue his master's degree in the UK. Without a valid visa, travelers may not be allowed to enter their destination country. Sponsor. A sponsor is someone who takes financial responsibility for you during your stay abroad, ensuring you won't run into financial difficulties. For example, my parents are my sponsors, covering my tuition and living expenses while I study abroad. Some students are lucky to get sponsors in the form of scholarships from universities. A sponsor's financial guarantee is essential for many visa applications. Invitation letter. An invitation letter is a formal document issued by a person, institution, or organization inviting you to visit or attend an event. For example, the university sent me an invitation letter confirming my admission to their program. You will need an official invitation letter to apply for some types of visas. A well-written invitation letter can strengthen your visa application. Ties. Ties are personal, financial, or professional connections that show your intent to return to your home country after your visit or studies. For example, visa officers look for strong ties to your home country to ensure you will return after your studies. Family, property, and employment are all examples of ties that strengthen a visa application. I emphasized my strong ties to my country, including my family business, in the interview. Financial stability. Financial stability refers to having sufficient funds or income to support yourself without needing external assistance. For example, showing financial stability is essential to prove you can support yourself abroad. A bank statement reflecting sufficient savings can demonstrate financial stability. Visa officers assess financial stability to ensure students won't face financial hardships. Property. Property refers to real estate or valuable assets that you own, which serve as a sign of financial security and ties to your home country. For example, owning property in your home country strengthens your case for visa approval. I mentioned my family's property ownership to demonstrate my ties to my country. Property documents were included in my application to show my financial stability. Visa officer. A visa officer is the official who reviews your application and conducts your interview to determine if you meet the visa requirements. For example, the visa officer asked me detailed questions about my study plans and financial situation. I stayed calm and answered every question confidently during my interview with the visa officer. Visa officers evaluate applications to ensure compliance with immigration policies. Embassy. An embassy is the official diplomatic office of a country where visas are processed and issued. For instance, I submitted my visa application at the British Embassy in my country. The embassy website provided detailed instructions on how to apply for a student visa. I booked my visa appointment at the embassy well in advance. Application form. An application form is a document where you provide personal, financial, and travel-related information to apply for a visa. For example, make sure to fill out your visa application form carefully to avoid delays. The application form requires personal details, travel plans, and financial information. I double-checked my application form to ensure all the information was accurate.